Hey everyone, I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. And today we are talking about copywriter versus copy editor. What's the difference? So one caveat before I get started. I'm going to be talking about copy editors in terms of brands and companies, the copy editors who would be hired by a company, rather than the copy editors that you'd find at a publishing house or in media. It's a little bit different. There's some overlap, but the biggest difference is that a copy editor who works for a company is biased because they're working on behalf of the company. They don't have that objectivity that they're supposed to have when they work for a newspaper and a publishing house. So it's a little bit different, but some of the same bits apply. But I just wanted to put that out there that I'm talking about copy editors as they work for brands, which is how they get in touch and work with copywriters. So it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Okay, so copywriters write the words and copy editors, they make them shine. So copywriters are all about getting the words down on paper, down on pixels, and then your copy editor is going to then revise your words for things like grammar and punctuation, clarity, quality, and consistency. Overall alignment with the brand voice and alignment with in-house style guides, as well as other style guides like AP or Chicago, things like that. So if you work with a copy editor, their job isn't to completely overhaul your writing. Their job is to bring it to the next level. First of all, they need to make sure that it's grammatically correct and punctuated clearly and that it reflects the brand's voice. But if it required a complete overhaul, it would be lobbed back to you. And sometimes it's lobbed back to you even if it doesn't require a major overhaul. The editor might have some questions, or they might want you to flesh out a section, or they might want you to, who knows? There could be any number of reasons, and usually the way they communicate with writers is, well, it could be a variety of ways. You might have them, they might email you. You might get on a call, but more than likely they're actually going to do their edit requests right in the document using track changes or the suggestion function in Google Docs, something like that. So you want to make sure you get familiar with those two things. Usually it's Word or Google Docs where you're going to get those sort of suggestions. And if you're not familiar with how track changes work, maybe I should do a video about that. It's really great because it helps you see, like if they make an edit, you can actually see it highlighted and then you can accept it or you can, revise further. So it's a very collaborative process, especially now online, because you can both be in the same document at the same time, which is kind of cool, and making edits and, putting comments back and forth. So I do like the collaboration that you get with working with an editor. And here's the thing, all writers need editors. We all do, even me, even you, Stu Boo. It's just a natural part of the process. When you are writing something, you get way too close to it. You can't spot your own typos half the time. And you need that objective point of view. Now, granted, even if they're working for a company, like I said, they're biased, but they can still be objective when it comes to looking at a piece of writing and saying, okay, is this clear? Is this conveying a message? Is this a little clunky? Should we reword it? So a copy editor is extremely valuable. I need editing. All of my writing goes through at least someone, maybe not necessarily a professional editor, but there's always another set of eyes, at least one set of eyes on the stuff I write before we put it out there in the world. Oftentimes it's a professional content writer or content editor, but sometimes it's the client. But that's important. You don't just write something and put it out there because that's scary, because you might be overlooking something or there might be some sort of glaring error, like something wrong. And that brings up another point I want to bring up about copy editors versus copywriters. Copy editors are not responsible for fact checking. Not usually. Now this is changing. We're getting into a hazy world where, skills and duties are being consolidated, but typically your copy editor is trusting the writer to get the facts right. So your job as the copywriter is to use reputable sources to make sure you are citing sources accurately, that you're not plagiarizing, even unintentionally, that you're paraphrasing appropriately, that you have quotes around anything you take directly and that you link back to it. So they are assuming and relying on the copywriter to get those things right. Now, That said, if they are reading a piece of copy and there's something that just jumps out at them like, what does this mean? This sounds incorrect. They might ask you about it. But again, it's not their job to fact check. So you want to make sure you do a good job at that. I will say this, however, I think more and more copy editors are putting copy through plagiarism checkers, which is just a sad commentary, but I know a copy editor, Mr. Word Nerd. We live together, so he's an editor, and plagiarism checkers is a part of his life. I wouldn't be surprised if more and more copy editors are going to use AI detectors too, because we don't want to just put out a glut of AI generated content without any sort of revision. So AI detectors are going to become more and more important as well. So they don't necessarily fact check, like I said, but they are checking for plagiarism, and they are checking for, or they will be checking, I think, more and more for AI. So something to keep in mind. Okay, some other ways that copywriters and copy editors are the same and yet different at the same time. How does that work? Both care about writing. Like, they're in this because they love words. They care about reading and writing and conveying things clearly. They have different approaches to it, but I think that's what kind of brings writers together. Is we love words. We love communicating. So we both bring that to the table. As a copywriter, you are likely tasked with and more concerned about the results of the content that you're creating. Reaching that target audience and resonating with them and making sure they take the next step. And copy editors, I would say, even the ones that work for companies, are less concerned about that. Their goal is to look at the content and make sure, is this clear? Is this on brand? They're not necessarily going to know if the way you worded something is going to compel that person to take the next step. That's not really in their wheelhouse. You're going to know more about digital marketing, SEO. They're going to have awareness and they're going to have some knowledge of that, but you're the one who's going to be more deeply immersed in all aspects digital marketing, whereas the copy editor is going to be immersed in all of the, punctuation and grammar and how to use words and the style guide and stuff like that. So it's subtle, but there's a difference. And you will have copy editors who come to the table with really strong digital marketing skills, and that's great. But again, their focus is really on making that piece of copy shine, and it's on brand, and it's clear, and it's concise, and it's error-free. So there you go. I often like to use the analogy that a good copy editor is like a good football coach, and a good writer is like a great quarterback. And if you can get those two together, if you can find an editor and you work well together, that's magical. Because an editor's job is to see your talents as a writer, to see your strengths and your weaknesses, and to help you adjust for both. So you're bringing out more of the strengths and you are, compensating for the weaknesses or improving in those areas. They're not about trying to change you or change your voice. They're looking at what you come to the table with and making it better and helping you make it better. Oftentimes, editors aren't necessarily, they don't consider themselves writers. Some do. But a lot of them don't. Like, they know how to write and they can do it if push comes to shove, but their talent is being able to take that step back and to, see the talent and the ability. Like Bill Belichick. I'm a Patriots fan. So Belichick and Tom Brady. Now, Belichick knows how to play football. I think he played some college ball, but that wasn't like being a professional football player wasn't his thing. Being a coach, being that person who can really bring the players along, that's his thing. And of course, Tom Brady, greatest of all time. I kind of use that analogy when talking about writers and copy editors. So if you are a writer out there and you start working with an editor who really gets you and helps you get to the next level, just know that that's special and pay attention. Like, learn as much as you can from that editor and it'll be a great thing. Have I stressed it enough that all writers need editors? You do. Here's something, however, I will say in this world of consolidation and writing fast, and sometimes you're working with maybe a small business owner, and yeah, they might review your copy, but if they have no editing or writing skills, they might not necessarily help much beyond making sure you haven't made a major factual error. You do need to get good at self-editing, and that's hard. And even if you get good at it, you still need an editor, but there are tools out there that will help you edit better. One of the ones that I've been using a lot lately is Grammarly. So I've been using the free version of Grammarly for quite a long time, and I just recently upgraded to the paid version, and I love it. It just really kind of does help you self-edit better. So I'm sure there are other tools out there, but that's one to consider. And of course, I will include a link below in the description because that's what we do. And I think that kind of sums it up. This is kind of a quick video, copywriter versus copy editor, but I do get questions about that. I know people are searching on that, so I just thought I'd put that out there to help kind of explain the lay of the land, because that is what we do. I am Robin, the copy bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. Hey, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps us out. And also consider subscribing to our channel. We're putting out lots of content. And of course, we'll see you next time.